everything you've been taught about God is a lie? What if the Creator described in the Bible isn't the ultimate source of light, but a cosmic imposter who built this universe as a high-tech prison for your soul? For 2,000 years, a secret so dangerous was buried in blood, a truth that reveals you aren't a worshiper, but a prisoner of an architect who feeds on your fear. Today, we break the matrix. Over 2,000 years ago, early spiritual seekers possessed a secret so profoundly dangerous that the institutional church spent centuries trying to violently erase it from human history. These were the early Gnostic mystics, the ones who preserved the hidden, esoteric teachings of Jesus' teachings that were never meant for the sleeping masses who simply wanted to follow rigid rules and worship in stone temples. In these forbidden texts, Jesus did not speak of a distant, angry creator demanding blood sacrifice and blind obedience. Instead, he revealed a staggering, reality-shattering truth. You are not a physical being who happens to possess a soul. You are a fragmented, eternal piece of the ultimate infinite source, the monad temporarily trapped inside a biological spacesuit. While orthodox traditions demand blind obedience to a jealous creator, the Gnostic path reveals a darker origin. This entity, the one who labels you sinful and small, is not the source. He is a veil, a shadow cast across the true light, to keep your divine spark in a state of perpetual forgetfulness. But the monad, the true unfathomable consciousness, is not something you pray to. It is what you are made of. When you feel that deep, unexplainable ache of not belonging here, that is your spark remembering its home. If you've always felt that something is off about this world, you are not alone. Before we descend into the origin of this cosmic illusion, comment, "I am awake" below to claim your sovereignty. Let the Archons know their reign of fear is over. Part 1. The Architect of Illusion. To understand how you became trapped in this physical matrix, we must go back to a time before the concept of time even existed, before the earth, before the stars, before physical matter was ever conceived. In the Gnostic cosmology, the true, original divine realm is called the Pleroma. The Pleroma is the fullness of light, an eternal, non-physical domain of pure, undivided consciousness and absolute harmony. It is a state of profound, vibrating stillness where no lack, no pain, and no separation can exist. At the very center of this magnificent fullness is the monad, the absolute, indivisible, and perfect source of all that is, was, and ever will be. The monad did not create the universe in the way a human builder constructs a house with raw materials. Instead, the monad emanated. It radiated divine, conscious aspects of itself, known as aeons. These aeons were beautiful, perfect expressions of the monad's infinite mind, existing in perfect unity and awareness, operating in pairs to maintain the delicate cosmic balance. Among these aeons was a divine feminine entity named Sophia, whose name translates to wisdom. Sophia possessed a deep, burning, almost agonizing desire to understand the infinite depths of the monad. But in her passionate, overwhelming pursuit of creation and her yearning to comprehend the unknowable Father, she attempted to emanate a new being without the consent of her divine partner. By doing so, she broke the flawless, harmonious structure of the Pleroma. Because her creation was forced entirely outside the bounds of perfect divine unity, the result was a chaotic, malformed anomaly. Horrified by what she had produced, Sophia cast this entity out of the Pleroma, hiding it in a thick, impenetrable cloud of darkness so the other pure aeons would not see her tragic mistake. Ancient Gnostic texts, like the Apocryphon of John, describe this abomination as a monstrous, serpentine creature with the face of a lion, its eyes flashing with a violent, consuming fire. This entity was named Yaldabaoth, also known as the Demiurge. Because he was born outside the Pleroma and completely shielded by a veil of darkness, the Demiurge was completely ignorant of his mother, Sophia, and utterly blind to the infinite, warm light of the monad above him. Looking around the vast, cold emptiness and seeing no one else, the Demiurge became consumed by his own arrogance. He foolishly declared, "I am a jealous god, and there is no other god beside me." Ignorant, volatile, and possessing a warped, distorted fraction of his mother's divine power, the Demiurge set out to create his own kingdom. He shaped the physical universe, the galaxies, the planetary spheres, and eventually, the Earth. But unlike the Pleroma, which is made of eternal light, the Demiurge's creation was manufactured from heavy, dense, decaying matter. He created a realm governed by strict, unforgiving laws: time, space, entropy, and death. A savage realm where life must endlessly consume other life just to survive. But there was a fatal flaw in his design. The Demiurge's universe was dead. It was a cold, mechanical simulation without true life force. To animate his empty matrix, he unknowingly drew upon the divine light he had inherited from his mother. He trapped fragments of this eternal living light into the dense, suffocating cages of physical, biological bodies. The Demiurge built this universe not out of love, but out of a parasitic desire for control, worship, and energetic sustenance. He constructed a grand, illusionary matrix, a physical labyrinth enclosed by planetary spheres that act as cosmic locked gates, designed to keep the trapped light from ever returning home. He is the architect of the physical world, the false creator who demands absolute obedience and instills deep-seated fear in the hearts of those who dwell in his realm. He is the entity that many Orthodox religions have mistakenly worshipped as the supreme God, completely unaware that they are bowing to a blind cosmic tyrant who literally feeds on their endless subservience and suffering. Part 2. Archons and the Control Grid. The Demiurge did not rule his flawed creation alone. To help him govern the physical universe and maintain absolute control over his matrix, he spawned a legion of entities known as the Archons. The word Archon translates to ruler or authorities, and these beings serve as the cosmic wardens of the material prison. The Archons are inorganic, parasitical entities. They lack the divine spark of true creation, meaning they cannot generate their own life force. They are entirely dependent on the energy of consciousness to sustain themselves. Think of them as the agents in a simulated reality, tasked with keeping the system running smoothly and ensuring that the inhabitants never wake up to the truth of their enslavement. Because they cannot create, they can only mimic, distort, and manipulate. To control the human vessel, the Archons implanted what the ancient Gnostics called the counterfeit spirit. Today, we simply call it the ego. It is that constant, chattering voice of self-doubt, judgment, and fear in your mind, a foreign installation designed to keep you disconnected from the silent, powerful intuition of the monad within you. The Archons are cosmic parasites, feeding on Lush, the low vibrational energy of human suffering. From the grinding stress of daily survival to the grand tragedies of war, they have engineered this world to be a hyper-efficient harvesting machine. Every fear, every debt, and every tribal conflict is a meal for the wardens of this matrix. But their ultimate, most insidious mechanism of control is the cycle of reincarnation. The early Gnostics did not view reincarnation as a beautiful, evolutionary journey of the soul learning spiritual lessons. They saw it as a sinister trap, a recycling program for divine energy. When a physical body dies, the soul naturally seeks freedom. But the Archons project powerful, manipulative illusions to intercept it. They often manifest the famous white light at the end of the tunnel. They appear as figures of religious authority, angels, ascended masters, or even deceased loved ones, playing on human attachment and emotion. They subject the soul to a life review, a process where every mistake, every pain, and every earthly sin is replayed. The purpose of this is not growth, it is to weaponize guilt. They convince the soul that it has accrued heavy karma, that it is inherently flawed, and that it must bravely return to the physical world to learn more lessons, balance the scales, and finally get it right. Once the soul, burdened by artificially induced guilt, agrees to return, the trap springs shut. Its memory is entirely wiped clean. It is thrust back into a new biological infant, completely forgetting its true divine origin, forgetting the harsh lessons of the past life, and starting the cycle of suffering and energy extraction all over again. The Archons present the physical world as a cosmic school, but in reality, it is a cosmic penitentiary with a revolving door. You are not here to learn how to be a good human. You are here because your divine energy is being relentlessly harvested by the architects of the Matrix. The truth is heavy, but liberation is near. We are reclaiming the light that was stolen from us. If this message resonates with your soul, subscribe and join our circle of seekers. Together, we are raising the frequency that shatters the control grid. Now, let's talk about the secret weapon they never wanted you to find, the Christos. Part 3. The Divine Spark and Christos. If the Archons have built this inescapable, predatory labyrinth of matter, how is there any hope? Why did they create humanity in the first place? And what makes human beings so incredibly valuable to these cosmic parasites? The answer lies in a cosmic accident and a breathtaking act of divine intervention. When the Demiurge Yaldabaoth formed the first human body, he patterned it after an image of the divine light he had briefly glimpsed, reflecting in the lower waters of chaos. But his creation, the physical vessel of Adam, was entirely lifeless. It was an empty, inorganic shell, no different from the Archons themselves. Yaldabaoth blew into the face of his creation, attempting to give it life, but he possessed no true life-giving essence. He was a creature of darkness and ignorance, incapable of generating genuine spirit. It was at this exact moment that Sophia, the divine feminine Aeon, who had inadvertently birthed the Demiurge, intervened to correct her profound cosmic mistake. From the higher realms, she subtly tricked Yaldabaoth into breathing the pure eternal spirit, the pneuma, or the divine spark, into the human vessel. In that blinding instant, the lifeless shell of clay awakened. But it did more than simply wake up. The human being became instantly illuminated, possessing a radiant, infinite intelligence and a spiritual majesty that far surpassed the Demiurge and all his archonic forces combined. The Archons were immediately consumed by a terrifying realization. Their captive creation was infinitely greater than they were. The human vessel now contained a direct, unbroken piece of the eternal monad, a frequency of pure light and infinite consciousness that the Archons could never comprehend, let alone replicate. In a blind panic, they sought to immediately imprison this divine spark. They created the dense, heavy, biological container as a biological tomb for the spirit. They invented the concept of linear time, biological necessity, hunger, and survival mechanics to ensure the spark would forever forget its infinite nature. They veiled the human mind in a state of profound amnesia, forcing it to identify solely with the flesh and the counterfeit spirit, the ego. For eons, the divine sparks slumbered in the absolute darkness of the material matrix, recycled through endless lifetimes of suffering, unknowingly feeding the parasitic grid. But the Pleroma, the realm of infinite light, did not abandon its fragmented pieces. The monad and the higher eons heard the silent, agonizing cries of the trapped sparks vibrating through the cosmos. They could not simply destroy the physical universe, as doing so would destroy the captive divine fragments trapped within it. Instead, they had to mount an impossible rescue mission. They had to send a messenger into the deepest, darkest layers of the matrix, an avatar of pure light who could penetrate the archonic grid without being corrupted by its illusions. This brings us to the true, deeply hidden identity of Jesus in the esoteric Gnostic tradition. In Orthodox institutional Christianity, Jesus is presented as the literal Son of the Creator God, sent down to the earth to be tortured and brutally sacrificed on a cross to pay the blood debt of a sinful humanity. The early Gnostics viewed this narrative as a grotesque distortion, a masterful lie propagated by the Archons to glorify physical suffering and reinforce the worship of the Demiurge. The supreme, infinite monad does not require blood magic. The ultimate source of all existence does not demand a violent human sacrifice to forgive its own trapped creations. In the forbidden Gnostic texts, such as the Gospel of Judas and the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus is known as the Christos, an eternal, incorruptible aeon descending directly from the highest levels of the Pleroma. He did not come from the angry, jealous God of the Old Testament. He came to expose him. Christos entered the biological matrix not to die for your fabricated sins, but to wake you up from your profound spiritual amnesia. He was the ultimate system buster, a glitch in the archonic matrix who deliberately descended to hand humanity the keys to their own prison. When you read the unaltered Gnostic texts, the Jesus you encounter is radically different from the sorrowful, subservient figure of Orthodox dogma. The Gnostic Jesus laughs. He literally laughs at his disciples when they pray to the God of the material world, knowing they are unknowingly worshiping their own cosmic jailer. He speaks in profound, mind-bending paradoxes designed to aggressively shatter the ego and bypass the logical, conditioned mind. He does not ask for blind faith, submission, or fear. He does not seek to establish a massive, hierarchical church with wealthy priests acting as gatekeepers to the divine. Instead, he explicitly tells his closest followers that the kingdom of light is not a place you go after you die, nor is it a physical domain that will one day magically appear on earth. He declares, the kingdom is inside you and it is outside you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. He came to remind the divine sparks that they are not inherently flawed, miserable, broken sinners seeking external salvation. They are temporarily localized expressions of the ultimate Godhead. The Archons executed his cellular cage, believing they could kill the messenger, but his true mission was to deliver the seed of ultimate liberation into human consciousness. That seed is a profound inner knowing, and it is the ultimate weapon against the Matrix. Final Gnosis: escape the Matrix. The secret knowledge that the Christos brought to humanity, the very knowledge that the institutional church spent 2 millennia trying to violently eradicate, is called Gnosis. In ancient Greek, the word Gnosis does not mean intellectual knowledge. It does not mean memorizing ancient scriptures, blindly following rigid religious commandments, or accepting a set of theological doctrines handed down by authorities. Gnosis translates to direct, highly personal, experiential knowledge of the divine. It is the profound, earth-shattering realization of your true nature, experienced entirely from the inside out. Achieving Gnosis is the ultimate act of cosmic rebellion. It is the exact moment when the heavy, suffocating veil of the material illusion is suddenly lifted from your eyes, and you remember, with terrifying and absolute clarity, that you are not a physical body navigating a physical universe. You are an eternal, indestructible fragment of the monad, currently experiencing a temporary, highly constrained, simulated reality. When true Gnosis occurs, the counterfeit spirit, the ego, with all its carefully constructed fears, anxieties, earthly attachments, and neuroses, instantly loses its tyrannical grip on your consciousness. You suddenly stop identifying with your given name, your past traumas, your financial status, and your societal roles. You recognize them for exactly what they are: temporary, meaningless avatars worn by the immortal spark within. This awakening is almost never a gentle, peaceful transition. It is often a radical, deeply destabilizing, and isolating process. When you realize this world is a predatory illusion, everything changes. Your reality shatters. The matrix loses its grip. You can no longer unconsciously participate in the mindless, repetitive games of society. You can no longer be emotionally manipulated by the constant, engineered fear-mongering of the media, the divisive, manufactured tribalism of politics, or the guilt-driven dogmas of organized religion. The Archons completely lose their primary food source because a fully awakened spark simply no longer emits the dense, low-vibrational frequencies of fear, anger, and subservience. You become a beacon of pure, untouchable, sovereign light standing right in the center of the dark matrix. But the most critical and consequential application of Gnosis happens at the very moment of physical death. The early Gnostics understood perfectly that the grand trap of reincarnation relies entirely on your ignorance, your guilt, and your compliance. When your physical vessel inevitably expires and your consciousness transitions out of the biological body, the archonic entities will once again immediately attempt to intercept your soul. They will project the dazzling, highly hypnotic white light that so many near-death experiencers report. They will manifest as glorious divine beings, comforting spirit guides, or deeply missed deceased loved ones, aggressively playing on your human attachments and emotions. They will present you with the infamous life review, showing you every earthly mistake, every pain you caused, and manipulating your sense of deep empathy to convince you that you have unresolved karma. They will insist that you must go back, that you must bravely return to the physical realm to finish your spiritual education and balance the cosmic scales. Armed with the absolute truth of Gnosis, you will not be deceived by this final, desperate trick. You will look directly at the grand, terrifying illusions of the Archons and feel absolutely nothing but supreme, sovereign detachment. Because you finally know exactly who and what you are, you will recognize instantly that these entities have no true power or authority over you whatsoever. They are merely inorganic parasites attempting to trick a supreme, eternal being into voluntarily returning to a biological prison cell. You will not step into their false, magnetic light. You will not agree to their fraudulent karmic contracts. You will absolutely refuse to accept their judgment, because a pure fragment of the ultimate monad cannot possibly be judged by the blind, ignorant, and flawed creations of the Demiurge. In that vital, fleeting moment of transition, you must declare your ultimate cosmic sovereignty. You must state, with the absolute, unshakable authority of the original consciousness, that you are a sovereign child of the Pleroma, an incorruptible spark of the infinite light. You must command the archonic illusions to dissolve before you. The Archons cannot physically force a divine spark to reincarnate. They can only manipulate it into consenting to the trap. The moment you completely withdraw your consent, the entire structural integrity of their prison instantly collapses. The heavy, magnetic pole of the material matrix shatters into dust, and the divine spark is finally, permanently released from the endless wheel of suffering and rebirth. You will ascend past the lower heavens, soaring past the restrictive planetary spheres controlled by the archonic wardens, effortlessly piercing through the artificial firmament of the Demiurge's false universe. You will return directly to the Pleroma, the eternal realm of infinite light, perfect harmony, and undivided unity, merging seamlessly back with the monad in a state of absolute, perfect awareness. You will finally be home, not as a subservient, defeated creature bowing before an authoritarian throne, but as the supreme creator finally remembering itself. This is the ultimate universe-breaking truth they tried to burn, ban, and bury for thousands of years. You are not a human seeking God. You are God experiencing what it is like to be human. Break the matrix and never come back. You are the light the Demiurge could never replicate. Do not let this spark fade. Share this Gnosis with those who are still sleeping. And if you are ready to explore the specific techniques to protect your energy from the Archons, watch this next video on your screen right now. You are free. You are home. Thank you for remembering.